And yields, I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi and the vice chair of the committee, Mr. Guest, for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To our witnesses, thank you for being with us this morning. Chief Bryant, before we begin, I was wondering if you could give the committee an update, if you have any, on the 3 officers in Atlanta who were shot over the weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inquiring. All 3 are in recovery. I spoke to the chief immediately after that incident occurred. He has continued to update me as a courtesy to inform me that they are improving. Thank you so much for asking.
And if you will please send along to those officers and the members of that department that our thoughts and prayers are with them during their period of recovery, and they will particularly be remembered this week. As we look at the headlines, I pulled some very brief headlines in preparation for today's hearing. I just put in the search engine, officer involved shooting. One came up 3 a.m. this morning. New Mexico State Police and Roswell Police Department investigating an officer involved shooting that left a Roswell police officer injured. Headline from May the 12th. Police identify a man shot dead by law enforcement after opening fire in Amazon warehouse. The article says West Jefferson police have identified a man killed by police Sunday. The gunman was fatally shot by law enforcement after he shot a Columbus police officer. Also a headline from May the 12th. Euclid police officer dead after ambush shooting. The first paragraph said a first-year Euclid police officer in his 20s was shot dead Saturday night in what authorities described as an ambush after officers responded to a disturbance on East 211th Street. We referenced and just spoke of the 3 Atlanta police officers who were shot and injured this weekend as they respond to a call involving an armed gunman. And I think it was mentioned in at least one, if not several, of the opening statement by the officers of the shooting that happened in late April in Charlotte, where we had 4 officers killed and 4 other officers who were wounded in that particular incident. And so my question, and I'll start with you, Mr. Mays, are law enforcement officers, are they safer today than they were 3 years ago?
Thank you for the question. That's a tough one to answer. I have a sense that it's worse out there on the streets. That's I don't wear a uniform every day, so I get that information from talking to my fellow officers.
And I'm not asking you to explain why you feel yes or no, but just, and again, I'm just asking for your opinion because you're deputy commissioner and you're involved every day. Do you feel the law enforcement officers are safer today than they were 3 years ago? Yes or no?
No.
Sheriff?
No, I don't. And in fact, the FBI just reported yesterday that 79,000 law enforcement officers in 2023 were assaulted, and that's a 10-year high. So what that shows is an increase in assaults on law enforcement officers. So to answer your question, whether they're safer, we certainly are better well equipped and can save lives much better than we did in the past, but for sure they're not as safe as they were in the past.
Yeah. And very quickly, because I've got a couple other questions. Mr. Bullock, do you believe officers are safer than they were 3 years ago?
No, sir.
And Chief, do you believe they were safer than they were 3 years ago?
As we see the increase in violence against police officers today, I would have to say no, due to the increases.
Okay, and thank you for your answers. 2 of the things I want to focus on very quickly, and I probably will only have the time to focus on one. First is the open border policies that we see. I know that was referenced particularly in your testimony, Mr. Bullock, about some of the challenges that you're seeing because of that. And though not referenced in other testimony, I believe that we can say that the open border policies has put a strain on law enforcement. But the other thing I want to touch on very briefly is rogue prosecutors. And I know particularly as it relates to you, Mr. Bullock, there's been some allegations in the media, not by you, about the prosecutor there in Austin. But want to read this headline and talk on this very briefly, and this kind of capulates both. This is a CNN article. It says 7 people indicted in connection with assault on NYPD officers outside migrant shelters, officials say. The article, which is dated for the purpose of the record, is February the 8th. The article says 7 people have been indicted in connection with an assault last month on 2 New York police officers near Times Square, and authorities are working to identify 3 others who were involved. The indictments come in a case that has drawn attention in part because of the migrant status of at least some of the defendants, and because 4 of these named in the indictment were released last week without bail. Our rogue prosecutors, do they pose a risk to law enforcement in general? I'll let you answer just yes or no very quickly because I'm over time, and with that, I will yield back.
Yes.
Yes.
The gentleman yields. Oh, wait.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah,
Then I'll yield back?
go ahead, sure.
Yes, sir. If each of you would mind answering the question, then I'll yield back, and I apologize for being over time.
Yep. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
Briefly.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
Not just to police, but to the community as a whole, yes.
Thank you very much. I yield back.
Gentleman